So we have to go to Hashem to Shul and then come directly here to Hashem over to Lubavitch. It's going to be a day of eating.
Okay. If you have an R scroll, it should be 29A1. We're at the top of the page, 29B. Top of the page, top words of the page.
29B.
29B, top of the page, top words. There's an extra R scroll. Just open it up to have reference. Everyone should be able to follow along.
29B what?
1, yes.
Okay.
Top of the page. We said beginning on Rosh Chodesh Adar, the first of the month of Adar, it's exactly 1 month before Nisan. That's when Beis Din goes out and starts making announcements. The announcements are, 1, everyone should give a Machatzis Hashekel, half of a coin of the currency of the time, because every single Jewish person must give a half shekel coin. If they don't give, if you're rich, you cannot give more. If you're poor, you cannot give less. It goes to the Beis HaMikdash, and they use it for all communal karbanos and sacrifices. Therefore, on the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Adar, or if Rosh Chodesh Adar is on Shabbos, we read the parsha called Parsha Shkalim. Even during the times of the Beis HaMikdash, they would read this. During the times of the second Beis HaMikdash, that to remind everyone to bring your Machatzis Hashekel, to keep the minhag that we do today. Therefore, even today we do Machatzis Hashekel. This is just a picture of someone doing Machatzis Hashekel on Tanis Esther, to remind us to do more minhag avosenu biyadenu. An interesting halachic difference, being that they would read the Machatzis Hashekel, the Parsha Shkalim, in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, during at that time was practical. Meaning everyone had to be reminded to start giving half a coin. And you had up to a month to have it in the Beis HaMikdash's treasury already.
And that's a half a shekel, right?
Correct. It's a half a shekel coin. Nowadays, we don't give a Machatzis Hashekel to the Beis HaMikdash. We do it as a minhag, as a custom, because Hashem should once again bring us to the stage, or we should do it again. And we read Parsha Shkalim in Shul. It's a very big halachic difference. During the times of the Beis HaMikdash, a child would be allowed to read Parshas Shkalim, either as a Torah or Maftir, we'll see later on in the Gemara. The child would be allowed to read it because the main point of reading it in Shul was to remind everyone to give Machatzis Hashekel. But nowadays, when we're doing it, we're not doing it as a reminder. We're doing it more as an obligation. Hashem should consider it as if we are doing a Machatzis Hashekel. And then in that case, you have to have an adult reading Parsha Shkalim. A child cannot read it. It says the Gemara. On the first of Adar, 2 things would be announced. One is Machatzis Hashekel, and the second one is Kilayim. We yesterday brought the image. We'll do it again. Kilayim. You should not have mixed plants, mixed fruits inside of your field. If you do, it has to be uprooted, and later on, Beis Din would make the entire field ownerless, and anyone who wants could take anything from that field. So they would announce, make sure you have no kilayim by Rosh Chodesh Adar. Why would they do that? Says the Gemara. Bishlam ala kilayim. Granted, you can make an announcement about kilayim, forbidden mixtures of agriculture, during Rosh Chodesh Adar, the Seif Zman Zriyahu, because it is the end of the time that you could plant, end of the planting season, and already from that point onwards, Rosh Chodesh Nisan specifically, that's when all the plants grow, and you can already start cutting down, harvesting in the middle of Nisan from the barley and later on from the wheat. And therefore, you could recognize the kilayim, it's starting to sprout, so therefore uproot it, you should take it out before it grows together. But why and what is the source that on Rosh Chodesh Adar we have to make an announcement? Everyone get ready to give your Machatzis Hashekel, your half a coin, to the Beis HaMikdash. Amar Reb Tavi, says Reb Tavi, Amar Reb Yosha, and the name of Reb Yosha, he answers like this. The Amar Kara, because of first pasuk, the verse says, we read this every single Rosh Chodesh. Zois oilas chodesh b'chadshay l'chadshay hashana. On Rosh Chodesh, we bring a carbon in the Beis HaMikdash, and it says this is the burnt offering of each new moon, meaning on the beginning of the month, l'chadshay hashana, for the months of the year, meaning that you have to have a month which is the beginning of a year. And the beginning of the new year, you have to bring karbanos from the new funds, not from the old funds. So there's a certain month, which we learn must be, all the funds must be brought from the new karbanos, from the new Machatzis Hashekel, which was gathered from all the Jewish people. Amra Torah says, Chodesh have karba mitruma chadasha. The word Chodesh is a month because it means a new moon, but it also means a certain month is the beginning of the Jewish year of the calendar year for the months of the year. One month is considered to be the first month, and that month you must bring from the Chodesh, as it uses the word Chodesh twice, from the new money. So every year they make a collection of money. They would on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, they would only bring karbanos from the new funds. All the leftover money from the old funds cannot be used for the communal karbanos. They would only be used for other projects and other things, as the Rambam talks about in Hilchos Shkalim, and you have in Mishnayos and Gemara Yerushalmi Shkalim. But at one point, which is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, as the Gemara is now going to prove, that from one point you must use only new money, new funds in order to bring karbanos. It uses the word Chodesh l'chadshay hashana. A triple language. Zois oilas chodesh b'chadshay l'chadshay hashana. Why? We got the point already once or twice. Why 3 times? To teach you also chodesh. It also has to be new funds. It must be the new moon. It must be the new funds, and it must be the first of the months. And the Gemara says, "V'kiven de b'Nisan, ba'i akruve," and since in the month of Nisan we need to bring all the new karbanos, the daily karbanos, the karbanos of Rosh Chodesh, karbanos of Yom Tiv, all has to come from the communal funds of the new funds. Kanminan v'karinan be'echad b'yadar, and you have to collect it. All right, so you have to start making announcements. Everyone should know it's coming up the time to give the money to the Beis HaMikdash. Kanminan v'karinan be'echad b'yadar, on the first of Adar, Rosh Chodesh Adar, you already begin to announce that we must give Truma, the new collections. You must give a Machatzis Hashekel. Yehechad delaisu shkalim lemikdash, in order to bring shkalim, new coins, to the Beis HaMikdash. Look over here, Mesechta, it will come up on the screen. How do you know that Rosh Chodesh Adar is the first, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the first of the new months? Says the Gemara, over here in Mesechta Rosh Hashanah, so it's not in front of us, rather it's on the screen. Tanan Rabban and Rab, our sages have taught in the Brisa. The Echa ben Nisan, Rosh Hashanah l'Chadashim, the first of Nisan is the beginning of a year for several different countings. One of them is Chadashim, years, for months, meaning it's the first month of the year. Ultrumas shkalim, and another thing is to collect shkalim for the new year. So Gemara asks later on, further down the page, how do you know that you have to have your shkalim in, your new shekels in, by Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Says the Gemara, just bring it up here on the screen. It's so interesting how before it's on Zoom, it works very fast, and now it's working very slowly. Amar Rabbi Yeshua says, same Gemara we have here, because it says word Chodesh b'chadshay lechadshay. You must bring from the new, in the new month of the new year, you have to bring from the new funds that were gathered. How do you know this is this month? The Gamri Shana Shana Minisan. We learn the word Shana Shana, says the word Shana year by Rosh Chodesh Nisan, because when Hashem gave the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, in Parshas HaChodesh, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu that the Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the new moon, is Rishon Lehu Lechem Lechatshei Hashana. This is the first month of the year. And so we have the word Shana. It says you should bring every month. Shana, every month of the year, you have to bring a karban, and which is the first month of the year, which is what Hashem calls Rishon, the first month. So in Mesechta Rosh Hashanah, we see that it's a mitzvah to bring from the new funds. And even more than that, I just X'd that out, but even more than that, it says that in Gemara over there, that if you don't have the money yet coming in, you should use from the old funds, but it's not considered that you're doing the mitzvah of doing it with Karbanos Hatzibur. You're missing part of the completeness of the mitzvah if you're using the old funds. Continues the Gemara. Kiman, who, in accordance to whose opinion is this Mishnah taught? Mike, good morning, Shalom Aleichem. The Loiker B'Shimon Gamliel. Our Mishnah said that there is a 30-day period where we tell everyone you must Rosh Chodesh Adar start bringing your shkalim, bringing your half shekel coins, in order to be brought as a to be brought for the communal funds for the Machatzis Hashekel, for the communal sacrifices. Who is it like? The Loiker B'Shimon Gamliel. It cannot be taught in accordance with the opinion of Rebbe Shimon Gamliel. And we're going to be quoting a Mishnah from Mesechta Shkalim. The Rebbe Shimon Gamliel says, Amar Shtei Shabbos. All you need to prepare for an event is 2 weeks. You don't need 1 month. You don't need 30 days. The Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, Shoyalin, and it's going to be the siyum, the end of his entire Mesechta. We're going to have this Brisa end off with these exact words. And so it means, the fact that we're saying it here, it means we're pretty close to the end of the Mesechta. Shoyalin behilchas ha-Pesach kodim le-Pesach shloshim yom. 30 days before Pesach, you have to start learning the laws and inquire the laws of Pesach 30 days beforehand. That is the opinion of the Chachamim, of the sages. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, Shtei Shabbos. One must only learn and inquire about the halachas of a topic only 2 weeks before, not 30 days, not a month before. Our Mishnah, which stated that on Rosh Chodesh Adar, you start announcing everyone should give a Machatzis Hashekel, in order that on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, you should be able to bring the new karbanos from the new funds that came in, is going according to the opinion of the Chachamim, the sages, who say you need 30 days, a month before. Not Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, who says you need 2 days before. 2 weeks before. Thank you. What is this? What is the reasoning behind? Why do the sages say that you need a month? Why does Rabbi Shimon Gamliel say you need only 2 weeks? So once again, I brought up the source here on the screen. Oh, Mr. Nedich, you should feel good. We're having full shalema very soon, and look forward to seeing you here again in person. And welcome. They each bring a source from Moshe Rabbeinu from the Torah, and Gemara Mesechta Megillah Daf. The Karban Pesach was brought on Erev Pesach, which is Yud Daled Nisan, the 14th of Nisan. On that day, there are many people which complained to Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not fair. We couldn't bring a Karban to Pesach because we are Tamei. And Nachum Tmeim Nefesh Adam, we are impure. We touched the dead body. Which dead body did it touch? Exactly. It's a pleasure to have you in person. It's a have you here. Joseph, and they were impure. And they're complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu, we protest, it's not fair, we want to bring a Karban Pesach as well.
About that, every one of them touched his casket or beer or whatever you call it, every person?
No, just a certain contingent. Probably from his Sheva, his descendants. But those particular people were complaining. Right, so the majority of the Jewish people were not touching his casket, but his a part his contingent from his descendants were impure. And I'm assuming it wasn't just from him because they carried the remains of all 12 up. And so Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem what to do, and Hashem told them there's a second chance called Pesach Sheni, in the second Pesach in the month of Iyar, and tell them the halachas, the laws of Pesach Sheni. So on Erev Pesach, on that day, Moshe Rabbeinu already taught the laws of Pesach Sheni to all the Jews who were impure. So that's 30 days before. On Erev Pesach, the day they bring the Pesach Rishon, in the month of Nisan, Moshe Rabbeinu is telling those Jews who are tamei, who are impure, about the halachas, about the laws of Pesach Sheni. And he told them all the halachas have to be done, and which halachas in Torah, gives a list of about 4 or 5 different parts of it. So that's a source of the sages that one must learn about the halachas of a holiday, of a Yom Tiv, 30 days before the Yom Tiv comes up. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, I have a different source. Because you're talking about the second year the Jews were in the desert. I mean, the Jews left, meaning the first year they're in the desert, but the second Korban Pesach the Jews brought. Let me go back to the first Korban Pesach the Jews brought. On Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Hashem tells, in Parshas HaChodesh, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, here is a new moon. This is what you should have Rosh Chodesh on. Here are the laws of a Korban Pesach. You have to have a bris, and you have to, and you should eat it with matzahs and maror and all the halachas of Pesach. Now the Korban Pesach is being brought on Yud 2 weeks later, Yud Daled Nisan. The Jews went out of Egypt the next morning, the next day, Tesvav Nisan. So on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Rebbe Label and Shekayach for joining. Thank you very, very much. So on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Moshe Rabbeinu, while they're still in Egypt, tells the Jewish people the halachas of a Korban Pesach, laws of a Korban Pesach. That's 2 weeks before. So that is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's source. Why before Yom Tov, before holiday, you only need 2 weeks to inquire about the halachas. The Chachamim, the sages, they say that you need to have a month in advance because the next year, Moshe Rabbeinu taught the halachas, the laws of Pesach Sheni, already on Erev Pesach, on the day that they're bringing the Pesach Rishon. And that's their source why you need a month. And each one has a reason why they disagree with the other one. And if you want to look at it, the Gemara Mesechta, it's more at length over there. At any rate, what we do see from both of these viewpoints is whether it's Rabbi Shimon Gamliel or whether it's a Chachamim, you need advanced preparation before every Yom Tov. But our Mishnah, which said that you have to, on Rosh Chodesh Adar, you announce about the shkalim, everyone should give a half shekel coin to the Beis HaMikdash. Hence we read Parsha Shkalim, the Torah portion of Kisisa, which is the mitzvah of Machatzis Hashekel. Hence you read that on either Shabbos before or on Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh Adar to get ready to, on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, a month later, to have the new funds ready in the Beis HaMikdash. Goes only according to the Chachamim, the sages, which say that you need a month to get ready for a Yom Tov, to learn the halachas. And not like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, who says you need 2 weeks. According to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, seemingly should be sufficient to announce on Purim, right? Yud Daled Adar. Everybody should know you have to give a half coin. Maybe Rabbi Shimon Gamliel thought that's not the best day to make an announcement. Everyone's busy already giving Matanas Lavyonim that day. You shouldn't announce. You also have to give Machatzis Hashekel.
We do.
What?
No.
We do it before. Shliach Manas. Or maybe everyone's already doing the mitzvah of Ad Lo Yada and they're going to forget the announcement. Perhaps. And it says, okay, do it. So says the Gemara, Afilu Tamer Rishim Gamliel. Our Mishnah, which says that you read Parsha Shkalim right before Rosh Chodesh Adar because you have to announce about the Shkalim already from Rosh Chodesh Adar, could even go according to Rishim Gamliel. He says you only need 2 weeks preparation. If so, why have a whole month of announcing of the Machatzis Hashekel with Parsha Shkalim? Says the Gemara, Ki even the Maamar. Since the master of our Mishnah, our teacher of our Mishnah said, B'chamisha asar bai, shulchanis yoshin b'medina, uve'esrim v'chamisha yoshin b'mikdash. You had, and I'll bring up a picture of this on the screen, just a drawing. This thing over here. The money changers, right? The Jews were always, the only profession Jews were allowed to do in Europe for hundreds of years was money changers, right? Non-Jews were not allowed to do it. Christians were not allowed to do it. And that was the only profession Jews were allowed to do. And you couldn't do anything else but that for hundreds of years, which, you know, on the one hand, the Jews were persecuted for being poor. You were poor, it's a punishment because you persecuted, everything you did to their founder of their religion. Other hand, they're persecuted for having all the money because of Jews.
Juicycle.
Juicicle?
Popsicle, a Jew on a stick.
Unfortunately, our history is Baruch Hashem, or unfortunately, very full of such things. Right? So this is the money changers. Now, a Machatzis Hashekel is half a silver coin. You're talking about millions of them coming from the entire Jewish people. They weren't able physically to carry up all these sacks of coins. They couldn't Zelle or Venmo the money, or PayPal it, or Cash App it, like today, or just send the credit card number. You had to bring the actual physical coin. So they wouldn't bring so many small coins. What could the Beis HaMikdash do with so many small coins? Right? Imagine going to every time you have to pay a parking fine. You come with pennies, buckets of pennies to pay with it.
But they're going to love you.
They're going to love you. All right, so they would change it to larger denominations. Right, so what they would do is that they would take all these small coins, all these half shekel coins, change it in for more valuable coins, either full silver coins or golden coins, and then that they would send up to the Beis HaMikdash from all different areas. Every city would send up towards the Beis HaMikdash. It's called the shulchanis. It's called the money changers. Shulchani, because they have a little table, and people will come and change money with that, change money by them. And Mesechta Shkalim talks quite a lot about the kolbain. There was a money changer's fee that everyone had to donate when they gave a Machatzis Hashekel. They had to give a money changer's fee as well, because sort of like a place which charges you extra 3% if you pay with credit card, because they have to pay the credit card fee. Right, so same thing. It's extra. They would charge if you give a Machatzis Hashekel, but they would have to pay for the money changer fee because the shulchani, because of the person who changed the money, would charge a small fee for that. So the shulchanis, back to the Gemara. Shulchanis yoshvin b'medina says on the 15th of Adar, the day after Purim. In all the countries, the money changers would set up shop, and they would sit in the province and change people's money into half shekel coins, and vice versa. And they would change it back to send it to the Beis HaMikdash. Everyone was giving a half shekel. Everyone needed these type of coins. And on the 25th of Adar, they would set up money changing tables in the Beis HaMikdash. Where in the Beis HaMikdash? According to Rashi, it was in the Mikdash itself. According to Tosfos, it wouldn't be in the Mikdash itself. It says Beis HaMikdash was not a place of commerce, buying and selling, but it means according to Rashi, it's in Yerushalayim. Mikdash is the Beis HaMikdash itself. According to the Rambam in Mishnah Torah, he says that Mikdash is Yerushalayim. They would set up tables throughout the Yerushalayim, and Medina means all the cities throughout Eretz Yisrael. Why would they set up tables so late in the game? So in the Beis HaMikdash, people will come in. They wanted to remind everyone walking into the Beis HaMikdash, and you see that the tables are there to collect the Machatzis Hashekel and make sure that everyone did it. And in the places where it wasn't places of karbanos of kedusha, and just like every karban, every sacrifice, every animal had to be inspected for 4 days for a mum to make sure it had no bodily blemishes. So therefore, 4 days before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, before the beginning of the time when they had to use the new funds, they would set up a tables in the Beis HaMikdash, also to make sure that everything is proper. They have enough money, everyone paid their money, and to remind everyone. And in addition to that, there's two opinions, right? When was the world created? According to one opinion, the first day of creation is Chafei Nisan, Chafei Adar, 25th of Adar. And Rosh Chodesh Nisan was the day that Adam was created. Right? Rabbi Yeshua and I think Rabbi Lazar. And the other opinion is that it started in Chafei Elul. And Rosh Hashanah is the day Adam was created. But the 25th of Adar is the first day of creation. And it says, Ilmale, Mamadis, if not for the fact that the Jewish people would send representatives to be at every single carbon and to pay for every carbon, communal carbon in the Beis HaMikdash, the world would not exist. So therefore, they wanted to hint in this idea on the 25th of Adar, they would set up the tables in the Beis HaMikdash. And so according to both opinions, according to all opinions, Mishum Shulchanas Kamina Vikarinan, because you have the money-changing tables that are set up on the 15th of Adar throughout Eretz Yisrael, or at least throughout Yerushalayim, according to Rashi. So it's only 2 weeks in advance. Because Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Rosh Chodesh Adar, when you announce about the Shkalim, and now we read Parashat Shkalim, is 2 weeks before the 15th of Adar. And that's when they will set up the money-changing table. So it could even be according to this Mishnah, which states that you begin to announce about the Machatzis Hashekel on Rosh Chodesh Adar. It could also be according to Rosh and Gamliel, because this is 2 weeks before the money changers make their change. So the Mishnah could go according to the Chachamim, according to the sages, because Rosh Chodesh Adar, you announce about the Shkalim, because it's 30 days before they begin to use the new karbanos. According to Rosh and Gamliel, it's 15 days, it's 2 weeks before they begin to make the money-changing tables, not just an announcement, but everyone should get ready in order to go bring your money to the money changers to give a Machatzis Hashekel. The Ritva adds another little twist over here, and he says that according to Chaim, according to the sages, 2 weeks is enough, because you're only doing this to get them ready, to encourage them. Remind yourself, announcing about the shekel, reminding them in order to go to the Beis HaMikdash. So even 2 weeks would technically be sufficient. And 15 days is sufficient. We'll pause the Gemara over here. I will continue, Mirz Hashem. I'm not sure yet. Not sure, but Monday, Tuesday, I'm assuming I'll be in New York for Gimmel Tammuz, Monday, Tuesday. So I think next week we'll continue Wednesday. Mirz Hashem.
Oh, so we're leaving Sunday night, right?
Right.
What time?
And they're leaving Motzei Shabbos. The bus is leaving Motzei Shabbos. I don't think I'll be going with the bus.
So what time should it be? Yeah, if you
person, there's a
I already have one.
you have one here. It's for everyone. Here, one of these, but this is also, you have the article, you have the sikha. I'm putting up on the screen for those online, and it's all from the hair. But this is it's printed to be given out to Maltamos. This one for you. You know, being that it's probably our last time before Gimmel Tammuz, we're all together, and it's 30 years. 30 is strength. The strength we need is not to be in gullus any longer. We'll do several ideas about the idea of what does it mean 30 years. 30 years, it says a person reaches their full strength. Right? Years ago, I met someone, and he told me when you're 30, you're going to start feeling, I feel my elbow, I feel my knee. That's going to happen starting at age 30. Now, it doesn't mean 30 years we're no longer connected to a Rebbe. On the contrary, it says the 30 years is the Yisrael, a shepherd of the Jewish people, never leaves their flock. And all we have to do is connect ourselves to a Kli Amke, to the Rebbe, hold on to the handle, the door bar, and to continue going. And the Rebbe invokes many brachas and mercy on our behalf. The day of Yud Shvat, after the Frierdiker Rebbe's passing, the beginning was a very somber, very serious time. It's a passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe. But progressively, the Yud Shvat Farbrengens by the Rebbe took on a more joyful type of tone, as opposed to a more serious tone. The Rebbe would encourage his singing, a lot of energy, starting already from the year Tashon Chaf Gimmel, 1963. I'll be giving this out tonight with the ring over there. Definitely. And they started off in 1963. In 1963, the Yud Shvat Farbrengen started off with a very niggin called the Nikolai or niggin, very enjoyable niggin. And right after his Rebbe asked the question, today's the day of a yahrzeit. It's a passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Why are we excited? Why are we happy on this day? You would think that we're 13 years after the Stalkos, the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe. You would think that as time goes by, memories become more distant. And it's for everyone, whether it's our own parents, whether it's experiences we went through, good experiences, not good experiences. As time goes on, it becomes less and less. And so after that freilich niggin, the Rebbe, after that exciting, after that joyous niggin, so then the Rebbe explained why it's not so. It's a little bit, it's by a tzaddik, by a nasi, by a leader, by a Rebbe, things work very differently. Yaakov Avinu lo mes. Says Yaakov never died. And Gemara asks, Yaakov never died? Says in the Torah that they eulogized him. Remember when we learned this? We learned this last year, beginning Mesechta Tainis.
How can you contradict the Torah?
Right. The Torah and the Torah says he was embalmed, eulogized, buried in Maras Machpelah. I've never heard of Yaakov Avinu going and having dinner with his kids since then. So the Torah describes in detail Yaakov's passing, his funeral. And so Rabbi Yitzchak answers, and he quotes a pasuk, and he says, "Ma'azar b'chaim, aflu b'chaim." If his descendants are alive, so too he is alive as well. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak, this is not a Gemara which is necessarily discussing Veyadaata. He wasn't giving a homiletical explanation. Rabbi Nachman said, "This, what you're saying that Yaakov never died, it's contradicting the Torah facts." Rabbi Yitzchak didn't try giving a different explanation. Rabbi Yitzchak said that since his descendants are alive, he never passed away. Now, how does this make sense? Could he change the past? Could Yaakov Avinu's descendants, many, many years later, how could they change his lifetime, which took place before them? Can't compare the lifetime of his descendants centuries later to his 147 years that he lived. So Rabbi Yitzchak is saying that it's possible. Answer is yes. True, time marches on, and time is, you have a previous, you have earlier, you have later. However, Jewish people are not limited by time. We're not boxed in by this limitation called time. And although in the typical way, from a ground level, looks that what we look at a person alive is a neshama in a body, in a physical body, very unique people, special people, it works different. The definition of life is different. Says, for example, Mashiach comes, so Avtchias HaMesim. all the dead will come back to life. Nowadays, you could work, and your work has no connection to the outcome of what you're doing the job for. Person could cut someone's grass and get paid for it. What's the connection of cutting grass and money? None. We do that because you need money in order to live. But by Torah and mitzvah is different. You do a mitzvah, and the mitzvah is godly light. That mitzvah is a light of Hashem, and you're revealing that light. And the example says the reward for tzedakah is becoming wealthy. You give away money you worked hard for, and Hashem gives you back the same thing many times fold. Serving Hashem, the reward is the dead will come back to life. When a person is involved in chasing after their own pleasure, their own desires, their own needs, so eventually physical things, everything has an expiration date. Right? Every physical thing has an expiration date. Might be a day, might be a month. If it's a bridges in Pittsburgh, it might be a few weeks. But eventually everything comes to an end, because everything in this world comes to an end at some point. Torah is different. Torah has no end. And Torah is truth. A mikvah, which is a river, which dries up every once in a while, is not a kosher mikvah. And therefore, that's why many rivers today will not be a kosher mikvah, because they have dams. It means, and it can be stopped at any time. Right? But the natural rivers will be a kosher mikvah.
So we have actually, our mikvahs connected up to the rivers of Pittsburgh, right?
No. Our mikvahs have rainwater connected to a rainwater bar, right? But going to the mikvah, or someone who has to go to mikvah in the rivers would be questionable at best. Someone has to very questionable at best if it's a kosher mikvah, because we have a lot of dams upstream, many different places. So it's all coming Maim Shuvin to begin with. It's all water that was stopped and released at one point. It's not naturally flowing water. In order to be a mikvah kosher, it has to be something that doesn't dry up every 7 years. If something has an end, then it's, according to the definition of the Torah, it's not truly alive. So for a Jew to be alive, a person might die temporarily, but they'll come back by the resurrection of the dead. So that we're really a Jew's life is actually eternal. When a Jew does a mitzvah, give tzedakah, that mitzvah lasts forever. And that money was physical, and now the money became alive. As it says in Tanya chapter 25, the unification between the neshama and Hashem is l'olam vad, it's forever. Every single object in the world has life, which is from Hashem, which is constantly recreating it. If you do a mitzvah, you now took that object, which before was just a physical object, and now you made it something holy. So therefore, you are able to change the past. What is life according to the Torah? You have a body and you have a soul. You have stuff, you own things, you have things that you own, house that you live in, but you have your things that you wear, you have your health, that you have your own body, you have a house, you have things outside of you, you have objects that you own. But the most important thing to you is your physical life, your health. Right? The guy goes to the doctor, and he's a poor man, and the doctor says, after he sees him, right, your bill is $480. I can't afford it. Okay. Pay $280. Can't afford it. Pay $200. Can't afford it. $100. I can't afford it. So why are you coming to me, the most expensive doctor in town? Comes to my health, nothing is too expensive. The body's needs many times overtake the neshama's needs. Sometimes Torah tells you to do so, and sometimes a person prioritizes their bodily needs over their soul's needs. Clothing are further removed from the person. Of course, they have an effect on the person, but you could always change your clothes. You could change from your work clothes to your Shabbos clothes. And the few moments you weren't wearing clothes in between are not relevant. But it doesn't make any sense that a person will sacrifice their life in order to save a coat, in order to save a pair of shoes. right? They have their shoes burning, the house is burning down. They're not going to run in to try saving the pair of shoes. Why? Because it's not part of their life. But if there's somebody inside of the burning building, then they will risk their life to save them, because life is more important than that. Tzaddikim, this is what sets tzaddikim apart. They live their whole entire life that their body is just like clothing for them. Their body is just a tool to fulfill the neshama's mission in the world. The only reason the body exists is to do what the neshama wants. The body itself has no need no need in itself. So his soul and his body, he can't compare his body to his soul. The body is merely a means to an end. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov exemplify this to the T. They're called the Merkava, the chariot for Hashem, which had no need, no desire of their own, only doing what Hashem, the rider, wanted. And such a tzaddik was never limited by the regular definitions and limitations of the body. Rather, they transition into a new type of garment. What's the garment that Avram, the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov had? They brought godliness into the world. Avram, through kindness. Yitzchak, digging wells, finding godliness in every object. Yaakov, through Torah study. These are the fathers of the Jewish nation. And all that mattered to them was doing what Hashem wanted. So in order for Yaakov to do what he wanted, to do what his body wanted, what his essence wanted, it wasn't what his body needed to eat or sleep or drink, but rather doing what Hashem needed to do in this world. And all the descendants of Yaakov continue this work. Yaakov is living on through them, because that's what his entire life was. So when Yaakov Avinu experienced histalkos, the neshama separating from his body, and all the process, eulogizing, embalming, burying, it was all necessary for the physical aspect, but it's not who Yaakov was. He's never defined or limited by his body. His neshama had the potential to elevate and not just stop, but once his descendants continued in the ways of Yaakov, then it's also making Yaakov more alive. So in that sense, Yaakov Avinu never passed away. The idea of Zara, a Nasi, a leader, stands for Nitzos Yaakov Avinu, a spark of Jacob, the first man. Every single Nasi put into his followers' ability to influence every Jew, many Jews. I heard from Rabbi Shestal, when someone sees you as a shliach, they don't see you for who you are. A shliach they see the Rebbe has they know the Rebbe has tremendous Avos Yisrael. So they see you as a person having tremendous Avos Yisrael. Not specifically that you're the one with Avos Yisrael to them, but you are merely the zar'ah, you're the seed which produces fruits. And so it follows that the further progression you have from the stalkos of a tzaddik, when the tzaddik was physically not able to be seen, the impact could become greater and greater. But ultimately, a soldier follows orders, and it's up to us, the Zarai, and bring out the mission of Yaakov Avinu to show, in order that Yaakov Avinu shouldn't die, it's mainly up to us in order to make sure that he's more alive than he was before. With that, we will pause.
Thank you, Rabbi.